Hey mini enthusiasts, how you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to be replacing the headlining. So I've got the bits laid out that I think I need, and I've done this job before on PL. So if you look at the PL playlist, there is a video of me doing the headlining on PL, but there's some little bits I missed, so I'll try and capture everything in this video. But if you're watching it and you're doing a headlining yourself, I'd probably refer to both videos. So there's a few must-have things. First off is these little Bulldog clips. You can buy these on eBay. I think I've got, it's either 50 or 100 of them, and they're just really useful for holding the headlining in place while you're doing it. You will need some good quality contact adhesive. So this Evo stick contact adhesive works really well. I used that on PL, didn't have a problem at all. You probably only need a can, so I've got 2 cans here. I bought 2 cans to do PL with. I use sort of probably about, there's a little bit left in there, probably 9/10 on PL, so 1 can should be enough to do a whole car. You're going to need a windscreen filleting tool to obviously put the windows back in, and probably some plastic trim tools as well, just to help you out. On Sprout, because it's an MPI mini, and because I've painted the roof, I took the aerial out. So I must make sure that's the first thing I need to put back in. I don't want to make the mistake of putting all the headlining in and then remembering I haven't put the aerial back in. So that's the most important bit to go back in. And then the headlining itself I got from Newton Commercial. So it is slightly cheaper elsewhere. I think the one from Optimize might be 125 quid. Newton Commercial is 140 quid, but that does include postage. So our prices are pretty comparable. They're both good quality headlinings, to be honest. And you know, if you buy from Newton Commercial, it's gonna look right and it's gonna fit right. So it comes as a kit with the headline itself, with a pair of trims for the C post, and it comes with fitting instructions as well, which is quite handy. And this is a cloth headlining as opposed to like a vinyl headlining you get on some of the earlier minis. All the MPIs had cloth headlinings, and to be honest, they are much easier to fit than the vinyl ones. You'll see people saying about laying the headlining out flat for a few days beforehand to kind of get all the creases out, and that with the cloth ones you don't really have to worry. Pretty much good to go as they are. So they're the C-pillar trims. I think you get that strip there for around between the parcel shelf and the lower windscreen, and then you get the actual headline in itself. Now you can lay this out to get the creases out. It's probably advisable to do that, but they do come out naturally anyway. I found to begin with the first hard bit was trying to decipher which is the front and which is the back. So we'll probably get this laid out. First thing I need to do though is we'll look at the old headlining. I need to take the canes out from the old headlining so they're ready to go in the new headlining. So bear with me, I'll just grab the camera. So here is our old headlining, and as you can see, like a normal MPI one, it just breaks up. This foam on the inside literally just disintegrates, and this one's probably worse than it was on PL, but it is a right mess, and it makes a right mess as well. So all that rubbish on the floor there is where I unfolded the headlining. I think I might have problems here because I've just noticed that these sticks or canes that go through are rusted, and they're actually rusted to the material. So I think I'm gonna have to cut these to get the canes out, and I might have to do some cleaning up on them with a wire wheel or something like that to make them smooth so they slide through. They're the old C-pillar trims. Now they're different to the ones they've supplied. I'm not going to put them back in because they look really manky. I'll use the new foam backed ones, but first job is to get these canes out, and you need to remember which order they go in. So this is back of the car to front of the car, so it's yellow, blue, black, white, white, red. Obviously videoing it, that's a bit of a reference for me. So as I say, next job I'll get these canes out and I'll be back in a moment. Quick little tip about getting this the right way around. So what I've noticed, that is the front of the headlining, that's the rear. At the rear, two of the canes are really close. So that's the yellow and blue are really close at the front. At the back, yellow and blue at the back, red and white at the front. And if I look at the new headlining, again you can see the space in between the rear ones. So that's yellow and blue are closer together than at the front, which is red, white, and then white. So just make sure you get it right way round. Right, there's all the canes laid out, and I've put them in order. I'm going to keep them in order, but I don't know whether you can see, they are really, really rusty. Now, you might not all have that problem. This is because Sprout was in a damp garage for 9-10 years. That's obviously corroded these away. So I think they're still serviceable, but I need to clean them up. They need to be relatively smooth because you need to slide them through the new headlining, and they also need to move a little bit to get their headlining adjustment. So if they're all rough like that, they won't do that. So I'm just going to use some 240 wet and dry. I might go a little bit finer, and then use some polish compound as well to try and smooth them off. And I'm sure it's going to be a very boring job, but I'll be back in a moment. Right, that wasn't as bad as I thought. I thought I'd just show the last one though, so it's probably taken me half hour, 40 minutes to do all of these. So 240 wet and dry paper, that's all you need. You don't need any other. You only need a small bit like that. I've just cut off small little bits for each rod rather than trying to use one big bit. Then just rub off all the loose surface rust. There we go, bit of elbow grease required, but it ain't too bad. And what we're going to do finally is just cure rust it now. I did contemplate painting these, spraying them. They're not painted from new, and if I spray them, I'm probably going to have to wait 24 hours before I do any more work. But the great thing about cure rust is kind of leaves like a coating on the metal if you don't wipe it off. And that just, I don't know, it's obviously not as good as painting it, but it does give a bit of added protection. And these were obviously not rust treated or painted from new, which is why they've gone rusty. Sprout will never be in the environment like it was sat in a damp garage, but this must be quite a common issue because it's actually mentioned on the instructions from Newton Commercial to make sure you clean off any rust and get them nice and smooth again. So I'm just cure rusting the inside there, and then with a big brush and the cure rust it neutralises the rust straight away. It goes black. And like I say, it does add a bit of protection for the future. You can actually just paint straight over cure rust once it's dry. It's a bit of a job I wasn't expecting to do, so it's adding a bit of time, but a restoration, that's what happens. Every job you start out, you think, like I said, it's going to take me an hour, a couple of hours, 3 hours, always ends up being twice as long. Right, that's all nicely covered now. That will go out in the sun for 20 minutes, half hour, and they'll be ready to go on. Right, so far more prep work, more bits and bobs to do. So the aerial's in now, so I haven't forgot that. I had to re-glue the foam which holds the cable up there. I did notice where the aerial is meant to earth through the roof panel, no one had scratched off the E-coat, so I wouldn't imagine the radio worked very well in the car previously. So I've done all that, I've waxed it inside and out now. I've also gone over all the sound deadening on the roof. I don't know whether this was added afterwards or whether it come on the Rover roof panel, but it was just starting to come loose at the edges. So I've just gone round, I've heated it up with a heat gun, gone round with a roller, re-rolled it back on, and I've put this aluminium tape around the edge, so hopefully it should stop it ever dropping down. It had started to drop down in places, but it should be fine now. And it doesn't have, there's like a cloth board which goes in PL which had dropped down. It's been left off this or not been put back on. I'm not going to put it back on because it dropped down in PL, and I think it probably do the same in this. I'm not actually sure what benefit it adds. Maybe it sound deadens a bit. And just as a final touch, so the roof skin's probably the last bit that ever gets done on a restoration. So next time this gets restored, or the headlining replaced, which you'll hope, you know, should be in years time, yeah, a little momentum for them. Right, that's the canes ready to go back in the car, and just to reiterate, I'd go back and double check myself, it's from the rear. So yellow, blue, black, white, white, red. I need to insert those through the pockets, and then we'll get the headlining into the car, and basically you fold it up, get it in the middle of the car, and then you insert the front one first and then go backwards. I might video that bit, time lapse it, I'm not quite sure. Let's see how we go. So I'm just inserting these rods through the sleeves now. There's no way I'd have ever got that done with the rust on them. They're quite a tight fit and they should slide through quite smoothly, and then just make sure you've got the same amount poking out either end. So now we're going to start in the middle of the car with this headline in, fit the front in first and then work backwards. All around the top of here, all around the gutter, I've gone round with this Technique 900 cavity wax, just gone round the whole lot, applied it in liberally, so it'll go down in these joins and it will drip round inside like the A pillars, B pillar, C pillar. Right, so the next part of this is reasonably simple. Once you've got it, the what they called, I can't remember, the sticks, the canes in at each end, you've then got to make sure they're the right way round, because they can be sagging downwards or looping upwards, so they need to be looping upwards. So you get them all looping upwards, start at the front, clip the front, and then pull it back from the rear, and the instructions say get reasonable tension on it. Well, that's quite subjective, isn't it? What's reasonable? But reasonable, I guess, means so you can feel it afterwards, and just feel that you've got reasonable tension, it's not going to sag. The vinyl headlinings are much more difficult to do. I've literally just pegged it up now and it's already looking okay. So clip the front, pull it back towards the rear, make sure all the canes are orientated the right way, get reasonable tension on the back, and then you do exactly the same on the sides. Peg up one side and then pull it over towards the other side, and use lots of these Bulldog clips to hold it in place. The next bit is where I messed up last time, is to go around the whole lot with a pencil and mark the edge. But it's looking good so far. The next bit is quite messy, So we want to spray with spray glue the inside of the windscreen aperture. We don't want any on the outside, which is why I've masked this up, and to make sure we don't spray it over the bonnet as well, because that would be a bit of a disaster. So if you look inside, this is a bit here we want to get spray glue on. Luckily the cans are quite directable, is that a word? And I've also marked off this headlining for the next step, because we'll spray a bit on the headlining as well. So I've marked that off with a pencil, and I've put masking tape along where I don't want glue to go. So this next bit's a bit messy. I'd suggest putting on some gloves. Right, so I'm just showing you what I've done there. So I've masked that up, pencil line lines up with a lip there, so I've made sure I don't overlap the glue too much. And then you just got to wait till that goes tacky, and then I shall pull that masking tape off, pull it up to the grey line, and then fold it over and Bulldog clip it in place. Right, that seems to have worked pretty well. You can see how many Bulldog clips you need. You can borrow them from other areas though. And then obviously just a quick check inside. That's looking fine, and we started around the back now, so you repeat the process. I thought I'd show you a little bit more. So we've got our pencil line which corresponds to the edge here. So we've got a pencil line, we've masked that up, so we want to get spray glue on this side but not on that side. So we'll spray glue along there, and then we want to spray glue the inner lip up here without getting it over the rest of the car. So we mask off this bit here. So back on now. It doesn't take long to dry that spray adhesive, and as we're doing the back, we're taking the pegs off the front. Step is the sides, which I use exactly the same process. There is a slight complication with the sides where you have to fold it, where you go around sort of the A, B and C pillars. So this next bit is where I made a bit of a mess on PL doing this. So after sort of 10 minutes of drying, it's a hot day today. That headlining ain't going to come down now, that's well stuck from the inside. You can start removing the Bulldog clips, and then you can just go along with a pair of scissors, sharp scissors, just peel it back, trim up the edge. When you get to the corners, don't know whether you can see that, you've got to fold it in on itself and just put a bit of spray glue on the back there. I don't want to bore you with the detail. That's the front all trimmed up now. That's stuck pretty well. Unless we tear that off, that ain't going to come off now. So it's a case of just going round and doing the rest of the car now. So I've folded this inner edge in. I need to get that taut, and then we'll glue that around the corner there. Any edges like this I've just folded over, done a double fold in them. I might just plonk in the front windscreen rubber in a moment just to help keep that. Oh, that ain't going to come off anyway, it's well and truly stuck. So it's a case then of just removing the clips, moving them round, doing the same process on the side windows. It's a bit time consuming, but once you get into the swing of it, it ain't too bad. So rejoin me in a minute once we got it all done. Right chaps, I ain't going to pretend that was easy. It seemed a lot easier on PL. Maybe I was just being a little bit more cautious on this. And like I say, I know the mistakes I made on PL, so I didn't make sure I remade them on this. That sort of process I was using works really, really well. Could have probably done with a few more Bulldog clips. The more the merrier. In the end I just ended up linking them side by side. But it is done now. The glass is not in yet, but I've fitted the rubbers back in. I've done the C pillars, which I didn't do on PL. I kept the old ones, so they take a bit of time to do as well. But I am pretty pleased, it's all looking good. I've still got to do a couple of bits like fit the sun visors, so you've got to make the holes for that, and I've got to fit the interior light as well, which is up behind there. You can actually feel where it is, so you just got to cut a slot in there. But as far as it fitting, like I say, these are so much easier than the vinyl ones to fit. And over a couple of days, actually, there's a few tiny little creases in it, just where it's been folded. You won't notice them in a couple of days.